Coach, how pleased were you with your group's ability to withstand their runs and keep them at bay, you know, especially considering what a talented team that is over there?
I think it just continues to show growth. You know, we talked about it before the game. You know, though we didn't like the outcome in Mexico City, there's things that you can show on film that you learn from, and that's what these guys did. They didn't panic. They didn't overreact to anything. They just continued to play the right way, and then getting stops was the most important piece of what we needed to do tonight.
Coach, you guys snap a 14-game losing streak against the Bucks, and you guys get the first win at home since 2018 against this team. I mean, to do that and in front of the fans, how did that feel to see your guys keep the lead and continue to get the win?
Well, I think it's so important, you know, obviously for our fans that they can, you know, witness what our guys are doing on a regular on this basis right now tonight. But for the most part, it's just about the way the guys played. You know, they played with a sense of joy. They played with a level of toughness. They sat down and guarded. They took on all challenges. Our coaches did a great job in the scouting report. So I just keep going back to it, showing growth in a lot of areas that we don't get too high or we don't get too low.
Also talked pregame about free throws. You mentioned the mindset. You guys were 30 of 35 tonight. Is this an example for your team just to show the difference that when you make your free throws, it helps you win games?
You hit it on the head. You got to make free throws to win games, and you got to defend without fouling to win games, and those are big pieces in this league.
Coach, the Orlando Magic now have congrats on them, by the way. The Magic, in eight of the 9 games, they've had the lead at halftime, again, like tonight. And down the stretch in some of the losses we've seen, superstar players like Trae Young, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving sort of take over the game and you know, get the win for their team. What can you say about Paolo and Franz tonight? Both scoring 24 points, both wanted the ball in their hands down the stretch. You could really tell that was the case.
I'm going to go back to growth. Again, and those stats you just read off, yes, we have had the lead, and we've had guys walk us down. And the one thing that this team is going to learn to do and continue to learn to do is how do we handle success? Because when you have the lead, teams are coming for you, so they have to play harder. They're going to play harder. So how do we handle that in each timeout, in each halftime? You've got to learn to play the mini games and win the little small battles throughout the game. That's what we talk about. Focus on the small battles and the small successes.
Coach, Anthony stepped in the lineup again for Markelle. He had that big, he drew that charge on Giannis at the end. What was your reaction to that, and how did you feel about his performance tonight?
You know, honestly, I think he was trying to get out of the way. And at the end of the day, I think, you know, Giannis had, they said he threw the elbows out. But the kid is fearless. I will say that. You know, he's not afraid of big moments. He's not afraid of stepping out there and working with those guys or whoever he steps on the floor with. So that's just a credit to him. And we'll go back to trust and confidence, the trust that his teammates have in him, the confidence that they have in him, and the confidence he has in himself.
Coach, once again, J.I. to close out the game at the 5, key matchup against Giannis. Can you just talk about his importance to this team?
I can't say enough. I really can't. I mean, his ability to take on defensive challenges. He's a guy that, you know, he will and should be all defensive team. If not, at some point, moving into that defensive player of the year conversation, because he's that good. He's got a special gift, and he wants all those challenges. And it's great that we have a team of guys that want to take on all defensive challenges.
Coach, we've seen Joe Ingles just really like help mentor. You see him come up, he's talking to the guys. Can you talk about just, you know, the energy he brings and just how the athletes are really taking in what he's saying and actually like listening to them? Because they could be like, whatever, but it's like they actually want to hear what this veteran has to say and just his role within this team.
It's invaluable because he lives it. And that's the difference. You know, you have a lot of guys that may not live what they're talking about. He's lived it. He's lived through winning. He's been part of big winning. And he's been part where he may have played or not played. But he's willing to tell these guys everything, the truth about this league and what they need to do to be able to have a measure of success. And that's invaluable for a team of guys that are continuing to grow and get better and need to understand what it takes to win in this league.
With Markelle being another late scratch, how do you guys manage that tinnitus in his left knee?
You know, we'll keep, you know, managing it and looking at it and evaluating as we go. But at the end of the day, we continue to talk about, like, the next man has to be available and ready to go. And we continue to praise and talk about the growth of these guys and ready to step in to whatever role you're asked to do. And that's what we've talked about with this team and the depth that we have.
Yeah, Brooklyn on Tuesday. First in-season tournament for you guys. Is this just one of 82 for you guys, or how do you add emphasis on what is just another regular season game potentially?
I think we have to continue to focus on us getting better. I think no matter when we play, where we play, who we play, it's got to be about us getting better. Are we sticking to our guns and what we do defensively? Are we sitting down and guarding? Are we defending without fouling? Are we getting back in transition? And offensively, are we sharing and moving the basketball? Are we trusting each other? So whether it's an in-season tournament or not, I think we got to continue to focus on us getting better.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about Jalen Suggs' development? He's got 2 straight games of 20 points, been to the free throw line 16 times in those 2 games. His aggressiveness just kind of stands off the page. So can you talk a little bit about that?
It's who he is. I mean, he's got an aggressive nature about him in all that he does. I think it starts defensively, which we've asked him to do. You know, it starts with his pickup point. How are you guarding the ball? How are you changing the way that their offense plays? And then that just breeds into he gets a steal, he's out on the break, and he's fearless when he goes in there. You know, sometimes you got to tell him, be careful because you're going to hit the ground a couple times. And he does it. But that's part of who he is, and he sets the tone for our guys being able to play hard, you know, for 48. Thank you, guys.
Paolo, that's obviously a very talented team over there. How pleased were you with your group's ability to withstand their runs and hold them off and close them out for a victory?
Yeah, definitely just, glad we was able to get the win. Definitely felt like we deserved to win that game, just the way we played from the start to finish. They made their run to cut at 11, and, we just came to the huddle and told everybody to stay poised, stay aggressive, and just finish the game out, and that's what we did.
Paolo, for you, I asked Coach about free throws before the game, beyond repetition, like how do you improve in that? And he talked about the mindset. What's your mindset when it comes to shooting free throws and I guess calming down for that moment?
Yeah, I think it's more just, centering yourself when you get to the free throw line. Obviously, you may be tired, you may be pissed off, whatever it is. So just taking a deep breath, getting back to, the center and taking your time, knocking it down. And I think that's something I've been able to get better at and, just start making them. You don't want to be a liability at the line. You want to be able to convert. So.
Paolo, great game. Finished with 26. Really took command there at the end of the game and made sure this team came out with a W after you guys have had the lead 8 of 9 games this season at halftime. So just congrats on finishing that out strong. When the first play of the game, Giannis came at you. You picked up a foul. Looked like you may have been a little bit frustrated, but that might have been their game plan to try to get you a little bit off guard. You only finished with 2 fouls. You played defense really well. Just can you talk about what it's like going up against Giannis and finishing tough tonight?
Yeah, that's a guy that you feel like you can't really stop him. You just gotta make it difficult as possible. Felt like we did a good job on him tonight, and he had freaking 35 and missed 7 free throws and only missed 7 shots. So it's like that's a great game, but we did a good job. So that's just kind of what you want to try and do, make it hard. And, just finish possessions when he does miss. And also, don't let him off the hook on the other end. Try and get him moving around, put him in positions where we can have the advantage.
Mo, how much continued growth did you continue to see with your team, especially, closing out a game and your ability to withstand runs against such a talented opponent?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think that's very important. I don't think it's a talent question or a mentality question or ability thing for us. I think it's more like a mindset of who we are in those last 4 minutes and locking in defensively, not turning it over, which we did a great job today, and not giving up threes. And then that's what the league is, close games. You got to win close games. We didn't do that last year. I think that's one step we got to take this year if we want to make the playoffs. And, obviously we focused a lot on that, and today was a step in the right direction.
Magic snapped a 14-game losing streak against the Bucks tonight. Does that add,
14 games, no?
I think 5 years.
Don't tell us that, man. Don't say that.
Jeez.
But does a win like tonight against a team like Milwaukee, who was number 1 in the NBA last year in the regular season, does that add a little bit more confidence for you guys versus some of the other wins that you've had in the past?
I think a little bit, yeah. But we feel like we can get with anybody, honestly. Like, we dropped one in Mexico, and we feel like we played terrible, and we lost by 1. So coming back home, we knew that this was kind of I wouldn't say a must-win, but this was a game that we couldn't play around. We couldn't come out flat. We had to be, on 100 from the jump. So that was just our mentality, and I think that we did that. But beating a team like that, it's a good feeling. But we're able to, I think, compete with anybody. So yeah.
For either of you guys, offensive rebounding tonight played a huge part. You guys had 15 team offensive rebounds. What's kind of the difference between nights where maybe that number's not as high and nights like tonight where you get 15 of them?
I mean, you can't control everything. I think it's an effort thing. Obviously, we put a lot of emphasis on getting those possessions, on trying to turn over teams and go to the offensive glass. It's also part of our transition defense because if you open the ball early, they can't just throw it ahead. But sometimes people make shots more than others, and then there's less rebounds to grab too. So it's a game, you can't control everything, but obviously managing those possessions with not turning it over and getting second possession points is huge for us.
This question's for both of you guys. The in-season tournament starts on Tuesday in Brooklyn. As fans, really the only thing that we see is the change of the court and the design of the court. As players, does it mean anything to you guys, or is it just another regular season game coming up?
That's a great question.
No, it has some meaning, I think. Shoot, 500,000's on the line. I don't know about you, but I'm going hard. Yeah, no. So I think it's naturally the intensity's elevated naturally just from I think the court uniforms. I'm sure the crowd is going to be a little more into it, and then for us, it being our first tournament game, you've been seeing it on TV and whatnot, and so you want to be a part of it. Obviously, it's the first year of it in the league, so you want to go after it, and so that's what we're going to do.
Thank you. Thank you.